Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on January 27th, 2026 at approximately 8 p.m. PST. Now, I've made it my life's calling to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the same philosophies I guide virtually every decision I make by. With this in mind, I know these tools will work for you because they continue to work for me and have literally worked for thousands of other people over the years with varying degrees of success, depending on your own personal efforts. Now, before we get into it, I definitely want to tip my hat to Storm. He is our primary moderator that hides in the back most of the time to keep the tech running properly and to make sure problem children are evicted before they become problem children. Okay, now, today, and we'll cover everybody else as they come in. Today we are discussing, this is self-help, it's Tuesday. So we're looking at your home is your self-image. And the reason I say that is because it's what you see. This is why when I look around my house, you can tell the amount of clutter I've got here. My mind is a staggering mess. I know this for an absolute certainty. And much as I'm doing my level best to straighten it out, I spent 60 years perfecting this mess. Okay, bit of an uphill battle, but what the heck. And we have In With the Gold. We have Operation Shutdown. How you doing? Glad you could join us. The fact of the matter is, when you take a look at your own home, ask yourself this: are you content with the way it is? And the reason I say content is because part of the drawback, part of the problem I'm having actually getting to move forward is the fact that I got comfortable with it this way. You almost, when you are a pack rat, you almost take a look at things as though it's a safety net. It's a safety cushion, as it were. Kitty Cat, you are in with the silver. How you doing? Glad you could join us. And who do we end up with? And there is Kira Ava. She is one of our moderators, my wife, and a number of other things. But she is there to help keep the conversation rolling and to catch some of the stuff that I end up missing, which, by the way, is not hard given my eyesight. Okay, now, when you take a look at the way your house is, okay, this is what you're seeing. And seriously, I know this because I'm stuck in the middle of it. It reinforces your own image of you. And there's LA Moon, our primary moderator in the chat room, who keeps an eye on the conversation, keeps it going as best she can. Periodically, she'll end up spotting somebody I missed. But much more importantly than all of it is that she has a tendency of keeping an eye on my own personal health. Okay? Therefore, you guys don't get to watch another heart attack or another stroke on air. And what are we looking at here? Just want to make sure we didn't miss anything. And so far, no. So, when you look at your self-image, when you look at the state your house is in, understand clutter in your house will bottleneck your energy. You're likely to find you don't sleep as well as you'd like. Okay, you don't sleep as soundly, you don't regenerate as well. And you probably get more than just a little edgy. The reason for that is because the clutter in your house literally bottlenecks the energy and does not let you actually relax. Okay, so what we look at is, what are you not content with? Well, I will tell you, and it's starting to come out, and again, I'm right down to the wire here, so it's got to come out tomorrow because it won't make it today. There is something I discovered with people's houses, with where you're living or where you're working. Okay, I discovered the chakra layout of the houses of the rooms in your house. Okay, the office being your brain. Now, the first place you target is take a look at your office, wherever you work at your finances or you work on your projects. Okay, that's the brainchild of your house, of your home, or of your business. Okay, did anybody? Nope, we are doing good. Okay, now the nice part about it when we take a look at things is the brain is the first thing you gotta get straightened. It's the same thing in your own head, in your own body. Get your brain working straight because that's how all functional decisions are made. Okay, and yes, I strongly recommend the list method to doing this because, well, simply put, it works. Okay. Now, one thing that you will find is that when you take a look at the layout of your house, if it's organized, and don't take my word for it, give it a shot. Okay. You've got a couple of major areas to look at. Your brain is your office. Okay. Your heart is the combination. It's a 3-chamber heart, by the way. Dining room, living room, and kitchen. Okay. And this is, when you take a look at that, think about it. If your living room, dining room, and kitchen are cluttered, you're closing your heart off. And yes, you can ask Kira, she'll tell you the same thing. I am very good at closing people out of my house. This is why I don't have a whole lot of company. Primarily because it's easier than letting them in. But we take a look at it, and if you desire to change the way your life is going, it's absolutely imperative you start sorting that out. Now, for some bizarre reason, the bowels of your house are literally either in your bathroom, and if you've got one, in your laundry room. Of course, if you got 2 bathrooms, you got extra disposal area. Okay, you keep those clean. It's kind of like keeping your bowels clean. And the arteries that you have to look at are the hallways and connective rooms. That's where you have all the energy flowing. And this is why I say, however your house is laid out, however it's kept, this is what you're reinforcing in you. Oh, LA goes, took me a while, but I finally got my kids to clean up their spaces. And this was a major source of contention for us. I'll tell you, I can relate wholeheartedly to that. And I still haven't managed to get mine to do it. Okay. It's a great idea to take your bed, to take the kids' rooms, close the door, and say, I'm done. Unfortunately, that doesn't work for energy. Works great for the aspect of not letting it visually take your senses over, but doesn't do a thing for the energy and thereby the relaxation levels.
Sorry, quick question. Did we get Operation Shutdown with the...
We did.
Okay, cool.
Well, I should say we got him when he came in. I think, latest, I hope so. Yeah, Operation came in. Where I think I screwed that up though.
Right after Kitty, he got them.
Kitty got the coal and got the gold. Operation brought in silver. And I believe that's where we are sitting. Yep, that's where we're sitting. Okay. But quite often what I find, and this is why I don't worry about it too much. We are currently at 716 subscribers. We've been holding that for a couple of days. But I just looked at it today, and I'm already ahead of schedule on the energy, on the think then speak, on the financial side of Inner Voice. Okay, I've already ahead of last year's average. Now, of course, the catch there is I've got to maintain this. Okay, but when you take a look at your house, the first thing you look at, like I said, get the brain sorted out. If you're looking to be rested, then you've got to take your bedroom and get it stabilized. And that just literally means where you can, take the clutter and remove it. One of the things that I have discovered is, if you take a look at me, let's face it, there's not a lot to write nice things home about. Now, that's my own personal outlook on me. So, I don't worry about it. Some people have said all sorts of things. It's like I told people, I don't have a sense of humor. My youngest son looks at me and goes, "You do so, Dad. It's just really, really dark." But however you desire to have your self portrayed to other people, I will tell you, you change. There is a statement that goes, your house, your mind is a reflection of the world, of the room you're living in. Problem is, your room is also a reflection of the way your mind is working. With this in mind, it's easier to straighten out the physical room than it is to straighten out your mind. And rest assured, mine is really crumpled up. But the clearer the energy runs, the more relaxed you're going to be when you go out in the air, out in public. Okay, so many people look at it and go, "I don't bring people into my house, so I don't have to worry about it." This is a massive fallacy. Okay, the state of your house, or the state of your business, either one, depending on where you live most, either one is going to have an impact on your own life and the way you carry yourself in public. Now, again, you don't have to take my word for it. See what happens when you put it to the test. Straighten out the clutter and get rid of it. Okay, whatever you can. You'll find you think faster, you're more relaxed. And in all fairness, I really wonder, and something that I keep putting off, because, I keep telling people, I don't have the tolerance for so many geniuses out there. And no, there wasn't any sarcasm there at all. Okay. The reality of it is, when you take a look at your self-image, what are you trying to portray? I'll tell you, for me, it's real simple. Where it comes to, other than this stream or a day in the office, it's real simple for me. Stay away. Just leave me on my own. There's a reason for that. I will quite readily answer questions. If somebody requires assistance or desires it, I will quite readily answer. Okay. The fact is, I only have an extremely tiny group of people that I spend any time around. Works out well from my end. But I do know that even from my standpoint, if the arteries in your house are plugged, as in if you can't get down the hallway comfortably, it's going to be frustrating. And you'll find this, you don't have to believe me. Take a look at your own hallways. Are they clear? Okay. Now, I'm not talking about have you vacuumed or have you dusted. I'm talking about the physical stuff you can dust and that you can trip over. Okay. So the reality of it is, I keep my office reasonably straightened out. This is why my mind works. Unfortunately, the rest of the house tends to go to pot. And in case you haven't figured that one out, that means my health kind of went down the same road. However, I'm not dead yet. But when we talk about self-image, what you're seeing in your house is how you see you. It's going to have a direct impact on the way you carry yourself in public. Okay, I know this because I've walked into places. I've met people where everything is laid out exactly where it belongs. And I'll tell you, their stress level is usually off the charts because they're so concerned. It kind of reverses. They're so concerned with what other people think of them that they end up bottlenecking themselves and trying to account for every possibility. This does not work well.
That I can vouch for. I'm one of these people who has that tendency. It does not work well.
It's a wonderful setup when you take a look at it and you go, I'm going to make sure everybody likes what I'm doing. Unfortunately, there are over 8 billion people there with conflicting ideas. You can see where there's going to be a complication. So I developed the other side of it. Okay. I look at it and go, this is who I am. You're either going to deal with it or you're not. And there's not much I can do about that. Well, I suppose there is, but it causes too much stress. So take a look at what your house is looking like. Number one, can you find what you're looking for? Okay. If you've ever worked with a computer, it's easy to file something and forget where it went. Okay. I do the same thing in the physical world. Matter of fact, the biggest thing I keep losing track of, or the most common thing, is my coffee. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know exactly where my coffee pot is. It's the coffee cup that's got the coffee in it that becomes a problem. And one of the biggest tricks that I ever found was when you go to start removing the clutter, okay, break the area down into small sections. When I straightened out my office, for the most part, I literally went, okay, I've got over on this side, I've got a five shelf drawer, or 5 shelf bookshelf, 6 if you count the top. I literally wrote down each shelf, cleared them off, and decided what was going on them. What I'm doing now is fine tuning that. And I'll tell you, this neat little filing cabinet beside me is a pretty severe problem. And much like my computer, I can lose stuff in it real quick. Okay? But what you got to remember is however your house is, if it is neat and tidy, this is great. If you're worried about one cup out of place or one shoe in the wrong spot, okay, you may be setting yourself up for some pretty high level stress and phobias. Okay, I'm just saying this is what I've seen with other people. Now maybe you've got it all down pat. Okay, there are invariably exceptions to every rule. But I'll tell you, after over 100,000 clients under my belt, it is more common that a cluttered house creates chaos in the mind and the body. Okay, one of the best ways to stabilizing your heart. Okay, obviously, if you're on medication and you're under a doctor's guidance, do yourself a favor and stay put. Okay, if you're not, 2 factors to take into consideration. One, we had herbs and what have you way before we had modern medicine. And 2, energy will affect the way you feel. So like I said, if you're having problems with your heart, and this is just something I've noticed, okay, before Kira came into my life, more often than not, and this isn't something to be proud of, this is just the way it was. Okay, more often than not, I would have 2 or 3 days worth of dishes in the kitchen. Okay, yes, they were rinsed out, so aside from the ant problem we've got because of nature, we actually had a pretty good setup. Since Kira came in, we've been keeping it down to 1 night. Okay, and the rest of it tends to get cleaned up. That said, the moment I started doing that, remember, with the kitchen, that is 1 of 3 chambers in your heart. Okay, by clearing that, my heart started to settle. And it's been getting stronger. As long as I keep the phone off the hook so I don't have to deal with people I don't like.
I can vouch for this former point in particular because musician brain, whenever I have contact with him, if I give him a hug or something and I can either feel or hear his heartbeat, I'm automatically calculating tempos. And so his heart rate is a constant, I'm monitoring constantly. So for the first few months the first month or so after he was home from the hospital, it was consistently 100, 110. And it dropped down to mid 90s or so, and now it's starting to get mid 80s, low 90s. So it's steadily getting to a much better rate. So the heart isn't working as hard and having as much difficulty.
And like I said, and thank you for that, Kira. The reality is by clearing out the clutter, this is one of the contributing factors to my heart. Okay. The other one is I get a phone call coming in, I look at it and go, I don't know that, I'm not talking to it. Okay, because I do mean it. The reality is most of the people that phone, I don't have a use for. I did get one that was really weird today. I got a credit company calling me up, a collection company calling me up, and I just about went into panic. It's like, what is going on this time? And then she spoke for a moment or two. I said, wait a minute, you're a collection agent. And she goes, yeah. I said, but you're asking me if my company has clients that I'm having trouble collecting from. And she goes, that's right. I said, great, we're in good shape. Both of us are good to go. The fact is, I couldn't have done that, 6 months ago. Yeah, pretty much right before the cardiac. Had that same credit collection agency phoned me, I'd have probably gone straight into panic in a hurry. You got to remember, I've been living in the red for 6 decades. Well, realistically for 4, because I wasn't living in the red when I was living at home when I was a kid. That was Mom's doing. That didn't, I mean. And again, guys, if you have questions, absolutely drop the question into the chat room in all caps. It makes it so much easier for me to find it. I do have now, tomorrow is Wednesday. We should phone Sue and find out if that book's ready.
Oh, yeah.
See, I've got a new book coming out called Believe in Your Success and Follow Your Dreams. A lot of that is as a matter of fact, give me half a second. I'm going to go to the other side of the room. I don't actually have to leave the room in this case. Just so happens the copy of it is what is it called, prototype, which I had to change the cover on. Okay, it's right there. Now, I'm just looking at this to see what I went and did. There we are. Yep. This particular book tells you exactly how to bring success into your life. Okay. Very short. The reason it's so small, I don't bother with this idea of giving you 10 dozen different testimonials of other people that have been successful. I've read a lot of self-help books myself. Okay. And not once. Oh, look at that. We have Mike Jones is in the house with the bronze. How you doing, Mike? Glad you could join us. Not once has reading that somebody else was successful ever helped me. It never made me feel better. As a matter of fact, when I tore my leg apart when I was 12, my mom tried making me feel better by going, Keith, your brother's friend down the street, he broke his arm. I said, Mom, not to be cruel, not to be cold, but he could have broke both his arms and his leg and still wouldn't make me feel any better. The same thing happens with the rest of it. Okay. When you take a look at your house, the more you get the clutter out of the way and the more you get the little projects tied off, the better the energy is going to flow. Okay. And this is something most of you will sit there going, that's not possible. It just won't work that way. And most of you won't do a thing to lift a finger to straighten it out. I'm telling you, hearing somebody tell you it works is nothing compared to the reality of it. So I definitely encourage you to get on it. Because like I said, it's a question of you desire your world to change. Even the neighborhood around you. start with your house. Okay, start on the home front because that is what is going to alter your life. Okay, it just boils down to one very simple thing. If you desire your world to change, you've got to do the work. And I will tell you, all the prayers, all the affirmations, and all the positive thinking is not going to do much of anything for you except for the fact it's going to give you the illusion that things can change. And I call it an illusion because give it a shot. Put a coffee cup on the counter in front of you and just sit there and pray for however long you'd like for that coffee cup to move. Unless you get up and move it, okay, or somebody else comes along, as in somebody that hopefully lives there, comes along and picks it up. If there's no physical intervention, that coffee cup is going to stay put. Okay, now I'd like mine to stay put because mine keep running off when they're half full. And then I have to find them again. It's a good thing I don't mind cold coffee. Where are we here? Okay, everything's running smoothly. But, I'm looking at this going, okay, I was looking at it today, looking at my own self-image going, yeah, bits and pieces of it are organized. This is why my mind is still working. And I'll use the term working a little loosely. Rest assured, it's questionable. But I have discovered that the way things are, the more you get the energy moving properly, the better off you are. Yeah, LA goes telekinesis notwithstanding. And this is true. If you got telekinesis, as in you can stare at something and using your mind, pick it up and move it. Number one, it works. You don't have to physically touch, but you're still one concentrating on moving that item. And I do know a gentleman that literally can create a shockwave on the water by just putting his hand above it, not by getting his hand wet and slapping it. Although I will tell you that'll work. Okay, now telekinesis is the layman's term for it. There's also saying the more accurate name in a manner of speaking is psychokinesis, and here's why. Telekinesis, go ahead and talk to the cup. The odds are it ain't getting up. If it does, you may have a bigger problem. Yeah. LA goes, it's a lovely idea subject to occasional leaks. And I will tell you, I am not a perfect housekeeper. As a matter of fact, I figure I'm doing really good if I can keep both doors in the house closed. Especially since we're at like 10 below half the time right now. Yeah, it's cold outside in case you hadn't noticed. By the way, 10 below up here in Canada is kind of like about 20 degrees there down the States, which I'm still thinking is a little cold. But take a look at the way your house is. However your house is looking, that's what you're reinforcing in your own head. Now, the fact I spend a lot of time sitting here working in my office, I've got a sign right above my computer that says, I am worth it. And honestly, I've got that in front of my computer. I've got it on my fridge, on my fridge freezer, and I've got it on the front door of my apartment. And yes, just the other day, I had a gentleman dropping off groceries for us. He noticed the sign, and even he said it helped him feel better. This is why I keep those 4 words handy. Okay, I could probably write it and put it elsewhere. By the way, unless you own your own home, if you're going to put the sign up, do it on paper and pin it to the wall. Don't go writing with marker. I will tell you the marker will last longer, but, so when we take a look at the way, when you take a look at the image you've got of yourself, do you like the way you look? Do you like the way you present yourself to your world, to the world outside? If you do, then by all means stay put. I'm not here to tell you you've got to change your outlook. Oh, there you go. LA goes, we're 50s high and 30s low. Snow in the mountains. Well, the snow is supposed to be up in the mountains, in my opinion, because that's where you've got the water reserves. That's also where anybody that's got ski hills is going. You don't see many people skiing in downtown whatever city. You just don't. I know of one town here where if you really desire to ski, you could do it in the city because it's built on the side of a mountain. Jeff, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Actually, I do believe that should put you, Jeff, in with honorable mention.
Yep.
Boy, that came out well, didn't it?
I speak the English really nice.
Well, that's what I keep telling people. I speak in the gooder English.
Yeah.
What we have to remember, you desire your world to change. This world that the so-called leaders are showing you exactly how to screw up. Okay? You can follow what they're doing because it's working like a charm. If you're trying to turn the world into a chaos pit, it's working. Okay? But myself, I'm tired of the chaos. Yeah. Philip goes, we need more downtown skiing and kayaking when it floods. When I was growing up, and this is a bad thing, I grew up in a small town. So in the middle of summer, we have bumper skiing. Okay. And if you're my age, you may know what that is. If you're not my age, I'll let you look it up. I'm not giving people extra ideas by going, hey, here's what you should do. Because I'll tell you, a lot of people got hurt doing that. Of course, the reality is, out, and that's a sidetrack and a half, we had out in the playground something we called the murder wheel, also known as merry-go-round. Okay. Of course, in the summer, you could have called it a rotisserie. It was solid metal. But when you take a look around your house, organize the drawers. Okay. It will help bring your mind up on track. Now, some of you, sad to say, guys, there's probably not a lot of luck going to happen there. Okay. I know it doesn't matter how organized my house gets. My mind is still a bit messed. I usually tell people I got two brain cells. One's lost and the other one's out looking for it. Yeah, LA goes, we used to ski behind the tractor. Made my mother spastic. We tried that with some people. Problem was, it wasn't always a tractor. Problem became a problem, though, when the driver all of a sudden decided to reverse. And yes, we're talking small military town. Shall we say a little bit of a different outlook? Now, when you take a look at your house, again, okay, the brain is your office. Your kitchen, dining room, and living room. That's the heart. Okay? And the one thing you got to remember with the heart, just like in the human body or any other body, if you stress the heart too much, you're going to cause a problem. This is why you don't put toxins into your food, hopefully. Some of you are a little twisted. I know when I made something the other day, my wife nearly had a coronary on me. Because, what was it now?
It was egg and tuna.
Egg,
was fine.
Egg and tuna is not a problem.
It's not a problem.
She had a problem when I added honey. I personally figured I like honey. I like egg. I like tuna. I was making it for me. Let's give it a shot.
I like
Didn't
ketchup
turn
and I
out
like
too bad.
ice cream, but we both know that combination.
I
doesn't
tried that
work
one.
well. So it doesn't always work that way.
Not always. But, your dining room, the dining room and living room is where company usually ends up. Now, the reality of it is, and yes, there are other places the company can end up, and we're going to leave those alone. But the reality of it is this: you don't let toxin into your heart. Okay, you do your best not to, or into your mind would be the idea. But if you let negative people into your house, you're letting them. They come into your living room or your dining room. You're affecting your home's heart, and that can be just as devastating as doing it to your own body. Although I will tell you this: if you try and physically put a person inside your heart, odds are the heart's going to rupture.
You think?
Yeah, most people aren't, But in fairness, LA, when I was down in the southern states a long time ago, I did have the courage to try grits once. Never again. But you keep the heart clear, okay? And the one thing you gotta remember is, in order to make your house run properly. Yeah. Philip goes, I've heard of honey beer too. Absolutely, and honey mead. Okay. And yes, there are drunk bees.
Drunk bees?
Oh yeah.
What? Okay.
If the honey ferments, they can't fly straight.
Oh.
You want to see something hilarious? Watch a bear when he gets in the fermented honey.
Oh my gosh.
But keep the negative people out of your home. If you're having a problem with them, whether they are friends or people you know or bloodline, if they are bringing toxins into your house with their attitude, with the way they're doing things, invite them to use the door again. Okay? I mean, I had a guy come over one day. He took one look at my house. At the time, I was living more in a warehouse than anything else. Guy walks through the door, looks at my house in my house. He looks at it and goes, this place is a dump. I looked at him and I says, you don't like it? You know where the front door is. I talked to him 5 years later. He was still a doorknob, but I did talk to him. One of the biggest things when we take a look at the house, okay, your heart is the 3-chamber. Okay, your nutrition, for some weird reason, you'll find is much better prepared in the kitchen than down back in the laundry room. Kind of like trying to clean up in the kitchen or in the cesspool. Take your pick. But your bedroom is where regeneration happens. That is why keeping it clutter-free will let your ability to regenerate, your ability to actually rest when you're sleeping. Yeah, LA goes, I let the trash take itself out, but I do avoid the front room window. Oh yeah. And going sideways completely, I had a character in D&D that he had his own apartment building, and he would evict people from whatever floor they were on, which wouldn't be bad on the first floor, but got to be a little messy on the 14th. But I'm a firm believer. If something, and it's something I pieced together after I pulled together all the chakras in the house, okay, the arteries, the arteries, by the way, are your hallways and connecting rooms. Phil's going, when you have negative people over for dinner, let your dog lick the plates clean. Tell the negative people we always wash the dishes this way. Yeah, I was told that. I found that out from somebody else. And absolutely there, Philip, another person I knew asked a friend of ours, How do you stop people from coming over for dinner when you don't want to be rude and you don't want them back? And he said the same thing. At the end of the meal, put the plate down on the floor, let the dog clean it, pick it up, and put it in the back in the cupboard right away. The people won't ever come back. But he did make a precaution. He said, be certain after the company's gone, pull the dishes back out and wash them. Okay, it's just an idea. Yeah, LA's going, yeah. LA goes, Phil, you're vicious. I like that. A lot. Oh, that's terrible. Yeah, Storm goes, the best clean, cool water can do. Then you call the dog cool water. Yeah, you'll never have your negative company back. What we have to remember, and I tell people I don't have a good sense of humor. I really don't. Okay, I will warn you though, in Return to Paradise, the novel I'm trying to tie off, there is a character in there that showed up somehow, and he is an absolute riot to write for. He's hard to read though. You know how Sawgrass works.
Oh yeah.
One of the things we have to remember with your house, okay, however you desire to portray yourself to other people, it's not how they're going to see you that your house reflects. It's how you're going to see you and what kind of effort you put in to changing your image of you. Like I've got this sign up here that says, I am worth it. And I will tell you, it's a battle and a half for me to keep reminding myself of this. This is why I've got it in 3 different places. Okay. And the one I don't see unless I leave the house and come back. Which pretty much if I leave the house, I'm coming back. But the image you've got, okay, and again, when you take a look at it, okay, you got to remember that all of your rooms do correspond, and they will directly affect the way your body works. Okay, if you are having trouble, and this is something I found out, if you're having trouble in some cases with your nervous system, with your own personal nervous system, you may find you're interrupting the electrical impulses inside your apartment or inside your house. Lord knows I do that, but then I'm a bit of an oddball on that note. One of the important factors you got to remember is if you desire your outlook on you. Oh, there you go.
Wow.
Now there's a direct question.
That's a great question. Jeff asked. Jeff, was it?
That's Jeff.
Jeff asked me what my favorite food was. That's actually a really good question. It kind of depends on my mood, and I know that's not very helpful, but it's an honest answer. So it really does depend. I like comfort foods, and I like my carbs.
And from practical experience, I can honestly tell you that would be one of them.
Yep. They're great.
That would be the vanilla Oreo cookies. I've been told pretty emphatically when we go out to make sure we pick up a bag. It doesn't usually survive. Of course, in all fairness, I'm partially to blame for that.
Yeah, but it's really nice when you're just doing something and you just need a little bit of a boost. You can grab one, it's right there, and it actually tastes good, and you're just like, okay, now I'm good. So, yeah.
The reality of it is, from my standpoint, when you take a look, and again, kitchen comes into play here. Now, because of the way that my body works, I got a pretty wide open door as to what I can do. But when you're looking at your kitchen, understand there is an old saying, you are what you eat. And this is great. until you meet somebody like Jeffrey. And no, I don't mean this Jeffrey. I mean the other one that got world famous for being a little off kilter. That depends on how bad the children misbehave. Sorry. Jeff asked, Keith, do Strazazians eat appetizers or do they just go for the main course? Well, no, an appetizer is simply a smaller meal. Okay. So if the kids have misbehaved, and more importantly, it's not if they misbehave, it's if they end up dead. It gets counted kind of like an appetizer. Now, the Fuente Ren, they will eat an appetizer quite readily. Of course, that's probably going to be somebody's hand, but what the heck? Yeah, Kira goes, I'm a carnivore at heart as well.
Sorry, typos.
Yeah.
Don't like vegetables.
Apparently not. We do our best to get them into her. Of course, every time we spawn a vegetable down on the street, they can run faster than now you can, so it's a little hard.
Yeah, there you go.
Sorry, that was rude.
That was rude.
But when you take a look at your house, understand the way you lay it out is what's going to help you feel better. Okay? It's what's going to bring your life into balance. Oh, Kira, Philip has a question for you as well.
Oh.
What are your favorite monster movies?
Gosh, monster movies. I tend to I like the ones that really scare me, so I kind of have love-hate relationships with them. I tend to go for more supernatural horror. But monster movies, I don't really watch monster movies per se, but yeah, I like movies like Paranormal Activity and things like that. So, yeah. Great podcast to listen to. Shameless plug is the No Sleep podcast. Go find it. It's a great anthology.
See, now this was the side effect I told you was going to happen.
Yep. But we are, by the way, Lynn, just let us know we're at 15 minutes.
Oh, thank you very much for that, Lynn. See, I told you Kira's here to make sure I don't miss things, and I still miss them. What have we got here? Oh, Jeff goes, Kira, I want to become a vegetarian, but I think it's impossible for me.
Yeah, you can try that if you want. I'm not about to try it.
I will warn you, Jeff. Becoming a vegetarian, you're not going to be content. First and foremost, and I don't care what the dietitians say, in all fairness, I've seen way too many people go down this. Okay, the so-called vegetarian vegetable proteins are not a replacement for red meat protein. Just doesn't work that way. And yes, there's lots of people who'll tell you it does. You're welcome to try it. It ought to be fun for a day or two. And then you're going to find out if the thing is, I've got a real simple rule. If the food isn't moving, it's probably edible. Assuming it's not moving because of something else. You should see the one written in saying that was put on in 75.
That was the one I'm talking about.
That's the one, yeah.
Yep.
The neat thing with the Exorcist is I was actually quite content with it. But the 1975 edition of The Exorcist with Linda Blair was a nightmare. As a matter of fact, Linda Blair herself, the star, ended up having nightmares and therapy for years afterwards. Now that's when you know the event went well, that the movie went well. But take a look at your house. And like I said, your house is your self-image. Now, conversely, you go into somebody else's house, take a look at the layout, you'll get an idea of how they see themselves. Yeah, Don't forget, there is a very big difference between vegetarian and vegan. Okay. But I used to be vegan. Okay. And of course, I was also an alcoholic, but I'll tell you, rye has no meat product in it. You know, one of the biggest things I did find with the whole self-image thing is lay it out. The more organized it is, the better you're going to run. Okay. You know, the better your energy is going to run, the more tolerance you're going to be able to handle. Personally, I find 40, 50 cups of coffee helps a little. Not a lot. You know, well, that did not work well. There it is. Dropped something on the floor that I don't think Kara wanted to stand on. You know, the neat part about it, where we start looking at when you start looking at your own image, take a look at what you're trying to portray to you. Do you like the way your life is running? Are you content with the way that you're reacting to people? These are things that the state of your house can help stabilize. But it is so much easier to change the physical layout than it is to turn around and actually open the door and go, I'm going to change the way I'm thinking. You know, and the reality of it is, from that standpoint, when you desire your life to shift gears, you're the one that's going to have to do something with it. Now, I do believe we are so. So let me take a look here. We are gone here tomorrow or the next day, but Friday, we are coming back with Frontier Fridays. We will begin and be discussing the Mobian homeworld. Understand the Mobians were human. They evolved from Earth, on Earth, and then colonized Mobius. And we'll get into that whole thing now on Friday. Okay. I've already got next week laid out, so that works out well. Now let's get back to here. Okay. You know, the nice little part about it is you are the one that's got control over your image. If you're not content with the way you are now, I will tell you, upgrading your wardrobe will absolutely help. Don't go throwing all your clothes out before you've got replacements. This is bad. This is a very bad idea. And I've seen some people actually push that idea. You want to do an upgrade to your wardrobe, throw everything out and start over, because at that point you have to.
Oh. That's a good point,
Mike, thank you very much. I will have to adjust that. You are right. I'm absolutely certain you're right. Friday, this Friday, we do have, no, wait a minute. This Friday is the 30th. So this Friday will be the homeworld. Okay. It's the following Friday, which is Friday, February 6th, that I'm on SOR. But thank you for bringing that to my attention, just to make sure we're on track. Yeah, and there's a lot to be said. It's the same thing when you're upgrading your house. Like, I'm going to be replacing the bookshelves in my house with oak because I like oak. It's that simple. It's not because it's the most expensive, although it might be close. It's because I like the feel of it. So that's what I'm doing. Okay, because I decided I desire the best of the best in my home. Hence why I got this young lass sitting beside me. Figured, I didn't want to have a slave, so I married a partner. But with this in mind, where are we here? We are down to the last 5 here.
5 minutes, yeah.
So, with that in mind, people, I do want to say thank you so very much for sharing your time with me tonight, with us. Really appreciate it. The support is invaluable. You have no idea how frequently I thought about shutting this down. And then I get a number of emails going, please don't do that. So, I'm not. I will continue this running. That said, I do look forward to seeing you again on Friday. And for that matter, Friday at 4 p.m., we will be back with a day in the office. Lord knows how that's going to play out. Okay? But thank you so much for sharing your time with us tonight. I really look forward to seeing you again. Until then, do take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.